What up, what up? You know what it is. This is DJ Nestor once again at the Rafa Production Studio. To my right, I have DJ Joels.
What's poppin'? What's poppin'?
And to his right, we got Queen G.
I could be a DJ too, but Queen G.
The one and only.
One and only. And today we got a special guest. This is a person that, that I like to bring up on here to this platform. She's really big in the community. She's an entrepreneur. She's a community leader. She's really involved in the community. Let's give a great welcome to Vida Paz.
What's up, Vida?
Hey.
Girl, we've been trying to get you on this show before we even had a show.
Before COVID. Before
COVID.
This show didn't even exist yet, and then you were on the list. You know what I mean? But thank you so much for, sitting down with us, because we really want to just talk to you and just really get the whole story. Like, you're such a big part of this community, because we are in Old Town Victorville right now as we speak. Rafa Production Studios, that's right. Representing
760.
That's right. And when I first met you, it was for a community. It was a meeting for the community, and this had to have been like what,
a decade.
Yeah, about a decade ago.
Check the wrinkles.
Yeah, check the wrinkles.
Not even.
But I remember it was for Route 66. The revival of Old Town, and I remember like you just stood out because you were so passionate at that meeting, because you were like letting everybody know what we got to do and what needs to be done and this and that. Like, can you explain to the people exactly? Can you break it down what Route is, Route of Route 66, the whole revival thing? Can you break it down for us?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you all so much for having me here.
For sure.
I feel like I've been wanting to be on here.
Hell yeah.
Like the chop shop. That's where I want to be. For sure. Like, I met Jules and Janisa. I met you guys like 10 years ago. And
Yes.
I was able to meet like your boy like a few years later. And it honestly started with me being as a community organizer and just being here in Old Town Victorville. And I just had the privilege to. It was honestly through like a grant, that I started working. It was a community building initiative grant from a hospital, actually, because it was like about looking a hospital. As I'm like, just looking at different ways that like we can build up our communities, because building up communities really has this deeper impact on just the way we live our lives, how it affects like our economy, our health, our housing. All of that is actually tied to like healthcare, which is why I started working there was like through a hospital. I mean, you work through a hospital.
Right.
So that's how I started like working like as a community organizer. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I was learning as I was going along. All I knew is that I grew up in the hood. I grew up like many times not having gas, many times like not having food, many times not having, a lot of things.
Yeah, the humble beginnings.
Yeah. And so I just like seen that, we're in this neighborhood, and it just like reminded me of my childhood and how I grew up. And I was like, well, let's go. Like, let's do it. Let's see what we can do. And we started organizing, talking to people. The community came out, and they had the same drive and passion that like I had, and we rolled with it. So, yeah.
You know, was one thing I remember about that day that I noticed was there was a lot of people in that room, and I felt kind of weird because I was looking around and I was like, man, like I'm one of the youngest people in here. I was like, but you were too, though. I felt like you and me were kind of like the youngest ones there, and you were like speaking with a lot of passion, and everybody was just so drawn to what you were saying, and I was just like, man, this is dope, because she believes in something, and she's young too. How much of that, of like just being a young woman in the community as a leader, like how much is like an impact? Do you get that? Like, do you feel like that people give you that props, you know what I mean, as far as that goes?
I mean, I don't know if people give me props. I don't know.
They should. They really should, But
I do like remember feeling young, and I remember feeling scared. And I remember feeling like everyone around me knew what they were doing and I didn't. Now, I don't know if they did or not, but that's how I felt.
Right.
So honestly, when you're talking about you feeling young, like I would like be drawn to other young people because it was exciting to see other young people. You know, I started organizing and I would meet a lot of like people that were, you know, from the civil rights era, like that had organized with Black Panthers and, you know, and it was dope to hear their stories. But at the same time, like they told me, they're like, I'm tired. Like, we organized when we were young.
Right.
Like we're all these young people, and they kept coming out and they kept coming like to advocate for their community. But I was like, well, yeah, they're right. Where are these other young people? They're not coming out. And to see someone like you, Jules, this was like we're in like early 20s.
Right.
To see someone like Arlie, you know, also in his early 20s.
Yeah.
To see just, you know, even kids like Dominic. You know, freaking he was 7. Like, you know, to see like young people coming out and like really using their voice to, at that point it was unorganized voices, but to eventually like learn together and then start getting organized and then like, you know, starting to advocate for the neighborhood and just, you know, our future. Like, I don't know, at that point, I don't know how cool I thought it was, but like now thinking back 10 years later, I was like, that was dope.
Yeah,
and I'm
for
so
sure.
happy to be part of it.
And you know, like honestly, I was part of that impact with Root. You know, I met Vida 14 years ago. I live actually up here off of Hesperia Road and A Street. And you know, me growing up and my family background, I'm originally from South Amani, but my stomping grounds is P-Town, Pomona, and then up here in the high desert. But she reminded me of what the key empowerment, how to empower the community, how to make change in your community, the grassroots, you know, getting people together to try to make a change and a difference, obviously in this area of Old Town Victorville. Old Town Victorville reminds me of South Amani, California.
Old Town Victorville reminded me of Shelltown, which is where I grew up.
Uh-oh.
Freaking walking out, my car's part of like a drive-by shooting. I'm like, oh, I can't even get to work. It's like a crime scene. So, I mean, it's all good, right? Like, we will survive.
Now, one of the questions that I want to ask you is, how hard has the struggle been to get where to accomplish what all you have done for the community? I know you're a part of the Fam Spot. I don't know if you organized or you started. How did that become into play?
Yeah. So, I mean, the Fam Spot's actually, it's a program, part of a nonprofit organization that has been here for decades. And I was so privileged to be able to work with them and be able to work with the young people there to, again, same thing, advocate for housing, because I mean, everyone that lives here in the high desert knows how hard it is to, if you didn't get housing 10, 15, 20 years ago, you'd be struggling now.
Yes.
Right.
So when we're talking about our young people and talking about like what young people can afford and also what they want, right? They don't want a 5-bedroom house. You were
Right.
talking about that. Like you're like, I am an empty nester now. Like I want to
Yeah.
have an apartment. Like
Yeah.
or like
I'm a
something,
one-bedroom studio.
Exactly, right. But so where is that? We don't
Yeah.
have that, right?
Right.
Like, we don't have, and
Correct.
especially in young people, right?
Correct.
So I had the privilege to work with the Fam Spot and really, again, uplift their voice, not just about what they need now to be successful, but also what they will need, which is housing that meets their needs, jobs that meet their
Correct.
needs, you know? So that was just like one part of my job. But yeah, like overall, like it's a challenge, because even I feel like this conversation gets challenging
Yes.
because there's so many things that intersect. Like
Yes.
we're talking about the neighborhood, we're talking about Root, we're talking about downtown, we're talking about young people, we're talking about like housing, jobs,
Correct.
like
Yeah,
all
everything.
these life is challenging.
Very.
Correct. Definitely.
And so if you're talking about all these things and how like we're trying to impact it in a meaningful way, in a well-rounded way, it can get like challenging in your brain. And for me, like I carry that. I carry that challenge, that feeling, that hurt, when I'm like, I got nothing for you right now. Like I can't help you because actually your problem is deeper than what I can give you right now. And
Correct.
And the solution, I'm sorry, like, is 10 years down the line.
Yeah.
And so,
Yes.
I mean, it is challenging. Like, I don't know, like.
But man, it has progressed so much though, since, because I remember, like I said, that was a decade ago, and I remember going to one of those meetings for the fam spot before it was, when they were just like talks about it. I remember being at that meeting.
I remember that.
I was there, and I was just like, man, this would be so dope if this really happens.
Yeah.
And then years later, here it is, and I remember you would call
Flourishing.
me and be like, "Hey, we need you. We're gonna go to the city of Victorville. We're gonna, protest, or we're gonna do this. We're gonna talk." Remember that? And I was there, and I was like, "Cool, let's go." And and it's just crazy to see how these things are just coming together. You know what I mean? Like, but it makes it all worth it. All the hard work, all I know that there's a lot of closed doors that get closed in our face.
Yeah.
Because we're asking for things that people are just kind of like,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't care.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do care at the
Yes.
same time. You know what I mean?
I remember that, like, now I actually had forgotten about
Yeah,
that.
you remember that?
Like, that meeting was in a vacant building.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. There was nothing in there.
There was nothing
Yeah,
in there.
yeah.
Like, it was a building that was going to continue to be vacant.
Yep.
And they're like, yeah, this could be a youth drop-in center. You all have a dream.
Yep.
And fast forward, like, we're like, yeah, let's do it. We got the funding, we got the people, we got the drive, we got the kids, the neighborhood kids.
Oh, yeah.
But the problem was actually the zoning.
Yeah.
The zoning at the city didn't allow us
That
to make
was
that
that
happen.
was this red
That
light
was
right
like
there.
the barrier, And so, like, we collectively like took our dream and, like, yeah, we did. We went to City
We
Hall.
went to City
we had
Hall, yeah.
meetings, and we had a rezoning. And that's what it sounds so boring. Like, it's not
No,
even
hell no.
sexy.
It was
The
like a
word
movie,
rezoning
man.
is,
It was like
not
a
sexy,
movie.
but it's sexy to me. The moment you say rezoning, I'm like, we got new stuff coming.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And,
Yeah.
then, and it did. Like, we got like
Yeah.
something for our kids.
Super dope though, man.
Yeah, it's dope.
I want to go back to the beginning, because like, you said that you come from the hood and humble beginnings. What were you like as a kid? Were you always like were you always like passionate? Like, were you always like, ready to go? Like how was Vida as a kid growing up, in the hood?
Baby Vida.
We got baby pictures coming up too of her
Yeah.
too. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. We don't.
Vida.
No.
I was cute, baby. No.
Produced by Rapper Productions.
So I was always passionate, but I was also a little wild.
Okay to be
Oh,
wild.
man.
It's okay. You were created to be passionate.
Also, you fit right in over here.
No hay nada mal.
But it made you the person that you are now.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, there was no saying no to
Yeah.
me. Like, there was no barriers. Like I wanted to go, I needed to go to the mall.
Yeah.
I needed, right?
Yeah, you needed it. You had to be there. You had
It
to
was
be
a
there.
mandatory.
Yeah, no matter what.
I need to take my
You
Star
must
Shop,
be there.
My Star Shop pictures with my Playboy bunny background. That's what I really need to do.
The old
The
school
homegirls were
It's
one.
life or death. If I don't show up, it's life or death.
Life or
Pictures.
death, right? Yeah. So, and no one's home, right? Because
Yeah.
your parents are working 2-3
Yeah.
jobs.
Yeah,
No one's
right.
home. So I somehow, like, I don't know. I had like $5. The bus cost me
bus?
$1.75,
Yes, yes.
right, to get to the mall.
Yeah.
I figured out ways, and there was no
Yeah.
telling me no.
Right. You're
And
relentless.
And if someone told me no, I just figured out a way to do it
Anyways.
before they found out.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta find a way.
Hey, where there's a
Yeah.
will, where there's a will, there's a way.
There's
You
a
know what I mean?
will.
Where there's a will, there's a vida.
Hey,
That's
and
a new
there's-
one.
That's a
and you know
shirt.
what? And
That's
then
a
there's-
t-shirt.
And then there's bus that
And
comes
there's a
with
bus.
it.
Yeah.
That's a hat.
No, that's dope. Yeah, I always wondered. I was like, man, I wonder how people who are involved in their community, because sometimes you see a lot of like political people in the community, but then you realize, you think sometimes like, were you ever lived in a poverty and shit like that? You know what I mean? Like, because I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Like, sometimes there's people who are speaking for things and they're not even from that neighborhood, not even from that community, and or not even anything close to that, but they're the ones calling shots. And it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You never,
Lived through that.
lived through that. It's like that. It's different when people like you or like, whoever like that are part of the community or been a part of communities are making a difference because they know what it's like, So I'm sure you've had those moments where you just can relate to so much out here.
Yeah. And I do say that to people. Like, and even when I started working out here, like I would tell people, like, I didn't grow up here. You all grew up here. Like, I'm not trying to disrespect, you know? But what I will say is that where I grew up, San Diego, I was Shelltown, Tijuana, like border town, like you grow up back and forth for a reason, right? Like, and there's moments like we're talking about, like, were you always passionate? And when I wasn't trying to get at the mall with my, when I wasn't being a kid, there were stressful moments.
Yeah.
There were stressful moments because I grew up in a mixed status household, like that means that like my parents didn't have citizen status, they didn't have papers, sin papeles,
Yeah.
and
It's hard.
it's scary.
It's hard, yeah.
You talk about all these things. It was scary then. Like I literally, since I was 9 up until I was 18, I would literally replay the skit that I would say in my head if I ever had to be called in front of the judge because like I came home and my mom and or my stepdad were gone. And I was like, what's gonna happen to us? Are we gonna get separated? Like me and my sisters, like what's going to happen to us?
Going to group homes?
Like where are we gonna go? Like I don't want,
It's scary.
It's scary.
Scary.
Yeah.
Scary as fuck, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's scary as fuck to know that
Yeah.
nothing wrong is happening in your household, but yet you have to think that you might get separated.
Yeah.
And you're 9, you're 10, you're 11, you're 12. Like,
How do you
scary.
how do you deal with that at that
Yeah.
age? Like how do you overcome that? Is it just you kind of just grow and you kind of just learn like that? That's a lot.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot for a child. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To be having that mindset going on.
I mean, for me, I just like watch the news. I was super involved with the presidential elections. I was like, who you voting for? What you doing? I was like, are you gonna try to deport my mom? Like, honestly, I would ask. Like, I'm 10, bro.
They're like, I'm going to the grocery store. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, no, like it was a little extra. I've always been a little
Oh,
extra.
wow.
You kind of evolve to what's going on. I mean,
Exactly.
you kind of
Your
prepare
environment.
yourself on for any situation, no matter what happens,
Exactly. That's the thing.
You kind of just you kind of got to be ready for it. Because I grew my mom and dad weren't they're illegals.
Yeah.
Thank God now that they have their papers
Yeah.
and everything. But
Blessing, yeah.
it was years. I mean,
Yeah.
years. My mom didn't go to her hometown for 25 years.
Yeah. What when the first day she went, what happened? Did she cry?
Oh yeah.
Bro, the first time me and my mom crossed the border, bro, I'm gonna cry right now. Like I was like, we're good, la la la, I'm tough. I was like 19, and it's me, my mom, my aunt, my grandma. We're all going. We're about to cross to TJ finally, and as we're crossing, I start crying, and I cannot stop crying. I felt so embarrassed. I was like, I cannot stop crying, and it was like, damn, like because one time I actually got deported, being a U.S. citizen.
Oh really?
What?
I almost got kicked out of
Wow.
Mexico one time.
In
Wow.
Mexico, girl. What were
Yeah.
you doing in Mexico?
Being Queen
That's,
G.
that's another story
Partying
for
too hard,
another
doing
day.
Queen shit.
She was partying too hard, doing queen shit.
Actually, I lived in Tecate for 6 months, but that's another story.
Hey, it's not abducted when
Well,
when you're
actually,
volunteering.
But no. It was called Cerro Azul. That's where I was.
I feel like Queen G needs to be the next guest.
Yeah, man. We need the
I want to hear this.
we
story.
need
wanna
the
hear the
Queen G
background.
version.
Yeah, we need to hear the
Cheese man. Cheese man.
Café y chisme.
Cafecito y
Cafecito.
chisme.
That one's gonna be all X-rated. No,
Not really.
no, that's what's up, man. No, we love to see. Like, I mean, I like I said, we know each other for a long time. I've always kept up with a lot of your stuff. One of the things that I love that me and you collabed on was the cleanup day. We did that a couple times, but I remember both times were successful. But man, like we collected so much trash, like it was crazy. Like just to see people in the
Yes.
community
Yes.
come together. And you know what's crazy? This is what I was thinking about. Like before you were doing that, and before like we did that, I didn't really see anybody else doing that. And now all of a sudden, though, I see a lot of people doing cleanup
Yeah.
days, which is good. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? No, it's good, but. I think that we were one of the first ones to really like do that
Yeah.
around here.
Yeah.
You feel me?
No, you're right. So
Yeah.
and call anybody here, anyone fact check.
Call them up.
Call
Do
John
your
Garcia.
Googles. Do your Googles.
Do it, man. Like call John Garcia from Public Works. He has been in Victorville for like 20, 30 years. And when we reached out to him, when we started organizing with Brew and everything, we're like, hey, we just want to do stuff for the neighborhood. Like what can we do? how about we just pick up trash? Like, let's just start. How would I start at home? Well, I'm gonna start by cleaning my house.
Yeah.
You know, so
Right.
same thing. Our neighborhood is our house. And he's like, I've always wanted to do like a big cleanup day, big bulky item pickup. We go pick up people's.
Yeah, we got the city dump trucks out there. Everything popping.
Exactly. Okay, that event was so successful that John and his boss Dana were able to present it to the city council and the mayor and the city manager at the time, and that was evident that if they invested money in public works cleanup days, that it would be worth the investment.
Yeah.
Because of what we did.
Well, what do you know?
To this day, twice a year, they do big bulky item drop-offs.
I've seen that.
To this day, they open the center in Anacapa.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
because we showed them that it was worth the
Yep.
taxpayer dollar investment, right?
Yeah.
That's a system
Yeah.
change, bro. Like we
Yeah.
changed that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like we changed that.
Yeah, we
Like, that's
kicked
dope.
the doors down for that. I remember it was in the
Yeah.
Daily Press. Remember they did that big old article about it. But see, that's what I'm saying. That didn't come from like people who worked for this. That came from people in the community that came together and put that thing together.
Organizers.
Yeah, and same thing. I feel like that about the fam spot. Like people in the community brought that together. It wasn't like the city, like, oh, we're gonna do this. Like, no, we had to convince the city
Yeah.
to do it.
It
you
wasn't.
know?
It wasn't their idea.
And that's why, like, we got to keep going. We got to keep doing what we're doing because obviously it's working, even if it is slowly but surely. But it's working though.
Here's a fun fact.
What?
So obviously,
Uh-oh.
obviously,
Here we go. Here we go.
I wasn't, born raised in the high
Right.
desert, but Julian Hernandez Corona, his family.
She said my whole
actually-
government on here.
His whole government name.
Look him up.
I have to
Right.
blur my face out real quick.
It's awesome to know because I do know, even though I'm like 10 years older than him, I do know his his mom's family and stuff, and
Backstory.
even some of his dad's family. But he comes from community grassroots and doesn't even know it. So his family on the
He's all
Hernandez
shocked.
side, they had this this organizing community organization called Los Dorados del Alto Desierto, and they started in the 70s. So
Pretty Copper
this
side,
guy
right?
right here comes from that.
It's in your blood.
It's
Yeah.
in his blood.
Yep. Oh yeah, man. I mean, our family's rooted. You know, we go back. That's why it's funny because, like, I grew up right here in the hood too, and I didn't have to join no gangs because I was part of the biggest gang out here. It was my cousins, the
Hernandezes.
The Hernandez and the Coronas.
I never had to join no gang. Like my cousins were bigger than any gang out here. You know what I mean? But that was another thing too. Like, how hard was it? Like, because like I always think about like people who grow up in like humble beginnings, poverty, the hood or whatever. Like, how hard is it? Because you could either go one way or the other way. You could have easily, I mean, I'm not saying you probably didn't get into some stuff because we all have,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, growing up. But you could have easily went the wrong path, growing up because you could become a product of your environment.
Yeah, for sure.
And same thing with like us or like a lot of people, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we've had our moments, but like, it's tough. It's tough to do that because some
Yeah.
people, they feel like they have no way out but to go
Yeah.
one route. Well, did you ever struggle with anything like that growing up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, where I grew up, like you knew like where the OGs were, like where they lived. You also like for us, like even like our classmates, older than us, like the cousins, the brother-in-laws, we knew who was already in the gangs, and it was like a challenge not to be like, oh, like I'm like they want to recruit. No, it wasn't. At least for me, it wasn't like that. I don't want to speak for other people, but at least for me, it wasn't like that. But it was like, I feel like I did have to draw a line and be like, I like going to school and I like doing this and I like learning. And I feel like there was respect there for that.
Yeah.
And there was like, oh, okay, she's doing good.
Like,
Don't
leave
mess
her
with
alone.
leave
Yeah, let her be.
Yeah. But it was also like, and that's like I like, it sounds like negative. But also I want to talk like about some positive stuff too, because that is familia too.
Exactly.
Like, I don't, there's just so much, right? Like, all this is deep. And like, that all of that is like is part of how we grew up. It's like familia. And so when I'm talking about like when we also knew where like the OGs lived and all that, like I actually felt safe and protected. Like
Exactly.
I'm walking home.
Yeah.
I know like where there's like a pervert following me and
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm very uncomfortable. I'm walking. And I know if I cross the street, there's an OG living there, and he's looking out.
Oh yeah, well they're
He's
He's
observant.
helping the neighborhood
Yeah.
as he does every day, and he knows me, and he's
knows
gonna
where you
make
live,
a
yeah.
point. He's gonna make a point to greet me so that the pervert backs off.
Yeah.
The
You
hood
know,
patrol.
That's
Hood
street
Hood
smart.
patrol.
you
That's
know,
hood patrol.
Yeah. That's hood patrol, street smarts.
Yep.
That's all that.
Exactly.
So I mean, there's like I don't want to like life is not black and white.
Exactly.
Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You know, and but at the end of the day, like for me, my family was very important. You know, and that school was important for them. Like they had like a purpose for me. Like I worked since I was 15 years old, mostly because we didn't have money. Like so we needed 4 incomes.
Right.
I was like working 30 hours a week.
Amen.
I was working like like having to go to school. Like it was like at that point it was like AP classes or like college level classes. You know,
Preach it, yeah.
and like just working my butt off. You know,
Right.
like trying to at that point I didn't even know what I wanted to do with my life other than like I just wanted to thrive. I wanted my family to stay together. That was important. And
Yes.
and just make sure that like it wasn't a statistic. Some of my friends they were in juvie and then jail,
Yeah.
died. Like that's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard as a kid and you just want to like find ways to
be
not
good.
do that. And I feel like that's what I do now. Like it's not like it's in my brain every single day, but every single thing that I do, every single like moment that I want to invest my time in
You
is
think about
about like wanting to invest in my community, wanting to like pay it forward, wanting for like people, like kids. Like you said, that was hard. Like wanting, like I just want one kid to have one less thing that was hard,
Correct.
and just just build up,
Yeah.
like
Get back to the community.
yeah, just
How people that need
the
that actually need the help.
yeah, like because you come up, I come up,
Yeah.
we all
Right.
come up.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not like like the table's not.
It's not you don't expect to receive something back. It's like oh I did that for you, so what am I gonna
Nah.
get?
No.
no. It's all it comes out of the heart.
Yeah.
You've been in those shoes. You don't want somebody else to be in those same shoes that you were in. So that's why you try to get back to the community so that they don't go through what you went
Yeah,
through.
and we just we're it's all together, right? It's like collective.
big family.
Like it's not it's not like physical like a pie that we're all fighting for a pie. No, like it's infinite like space. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is our fabric, our space. Like we're all in this together, you
Right.
know, and that's it. Like,
Will you ever be content?
will I ever be content?
Oh, that's a hard one.
Will you ever be like, okay, I've done enough work.
That's it.
I think it's time to move on. Or you seem like the type that will probably never, like you seem like the type to me that will be on to the next one, Like, will you ever be content? Will you ever say, okay, we did enough?
Like retire.
I mean, no. Like if you do that, you die. That's so boring. Like you just there's
Yeah.
always more. I would always like tell like Rafa, I'd be like, I wish like I could be like a vampire and live
Yeah.
forever.
Nocturnal?
Yeah.
Because I just want to live forever. Like
Immortal?
Immortal, yeah. Because there's
Keep it
just
going,
there's
yeah.
so much
To
to
do.
learn.
To
There's so
do.
much to do. There's so much to like.
Yes.
So much life to live, bro. Like, let's
Yeah.
go.
Serious.
Like,
Yes, we don't
let's-
have enough years to live to do whatever
Exactly.
all that we want to do.
Exactly.
Yes.
So Vida, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I'm gonna be 40 years old.
Hey, 40 is the new.
40 is the
40
new
new 20. Yes.
That's what I heard.
Yes.
That's what I heard. So in 40 years, in 40 years.
5 years. 5 years. That 40 stuck
fast
with
forward,
you, huh?
fast forward.
That 40 stuck with you,
You know,
huh?
there's nothing wrong with the
When you want a 40,
club.
we'll go get a 40 from
Hey.
down the street. No.
I know. Caguamas.
I know.
Yeah.
40's
no,
for
40 is halfway to 80.
40's for shorties.
40's for shorties.
Hey. No.
Whoa, I'm short. Hey.
No, in 5 years, the high desert's my home.
Yeah.
I built a home here. I live in Victorville. I continue to work here in downtown. I think I was telling you, Janisa, earlier before we started shooting that a couple days ago, I got an idea about
Yes.
how can we do like a program called Zero Vacancies and start fundraising to get connect like small businesses into some of these vacancy spots and like negotiate deals. And, you know, I think all that, like, it's exciting for me. I like to build. I like to develop. I want people to break out of like certain mentalities. And I think that has like a ton of like cultural shifts that need to happen. And so for me, like, that's work. You know, I'm a woman. I don't know how many women you all interview, but I'm a woman. So I would like to like have kids and shit, man, by 40, your eggs start drying up. So I guess that needs to happen before then. I don't know.
But yeah, we're Latinas, we have kids till we're 60.
We're strong.
Right? We tough.
You guys are strong. You know women are strong.
Genes,
Yes.
man. No, I mean, I just like, I guess to sum it up, I just want to continue to be like investing and planting more seeds and watering the freaking plants that have already grown, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Nice. I remember you. The first time I met you was about 3 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. When I started working at the hospital. Oh, you know what I mean? I'm Julian's cousin through marriage.
Okay.
But we're more cousins than my wife is to him. Off the record.
You're bros.
Yeah. And I used to work at the hospital with Julian at St. Mary's, and I joined the union. And when I started doing that, he had told me about the cleanup.
Oh, yeah.
The cleanup weekend, and he's like, hey, you know, I think you'd be a good part, you know, to join. We should go down there. That's when I first met you for the first time. And I remember that day, you know, if I'm correct, we did 10 tons
Yeah.
of trash that day.
Yep.
You know, which it is, you know, it might not look a lot, or may not, it might be a little speck on the map, but
We made a difference.
Yeah,
Yes.
as a community, it was a big difference.
Huge.
You know, so you know, it makes you feel, you know, productive, you know, useful
Yeah.
to help somebody out, like that lady that we cleaned out her front yard. Like,
Ooh, I remember
that
that.
was a lot of trash.
And we all had to do that. Yeah, we all had to.
Yeah.
do that.
I was just gonna say, like maybe like 10 tons to someone feels like, okay, well, you picked up 10 tons of trash, but it's like, no, the majority of that trash actually came from people's homes.
Yes.
Which means, like, imagine waking up every day
and seeing that.
and seeing trash. Like, you're living in trash. Like, how demoralizing is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't have okay, there's only so much trash you can put in your trash bin.
Yeah.
You know, for some reason, for some life reason, that accumulated.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna ask, I'm not gonna judge, I'm just, you know,
Yeah.
regardless, you're living with it.
It is
and
what it
and
is.
so we were able to help a few people.
Correct.
That lady, like,
Yeah, the lady. Yeah,
Yeah,
was a
something
lot.
to like, I mean, she was crying, man.
Yeah,
Like,
she
Yeah,
was.
she was happy. She was
was
super
so-
happy.
She probably was like overwhelmed, didn't know what to do.
She was happy because I remember, you know, I believe she was in a wheelchair. I'm not sure. Somebody was in a wheelchair.
yeah, I think like somebody that
Yeah,
was
and
in there
it
with her.
just the amount of trash that was there, it was like impossible for them to get in and out.
yeah.
You know what's one of my best memories about that day? Was when the mayor of Victorville rolled up. Liz Becerra rolled
Becerra.
up, and she
Shout
rolled
out
up.
to Liz Becerra.
She rolled up in her pickup truck, and she rolled up her sleeves, and she went out there,
Yes.
and she helped us clean. And remember, she started directing traffic for us.
Yes.
We were right there
Yes.
by Center Street parking, and she
Yeah.
was like, we gotta turn the truck around. This and that. She's like, oh, don't worry about it. She got out the truck, and she was in the middle of the street telling
Yeah,
everybody.
she's old school public
Yeah,
works.
exactly.
Yeah.
We were like, man, we got the mayor of Victorville up in here. What's popping?
Yes.
Like, oh yeah, that was dope, man. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, little things like that make a big difference, and I'm just glad that we got people like you that are in the community that makes a difference. I remember one time me and you had a meetup one time to talk about the fam spot. We went to like one of those burger spots real quick, and everybody knew who you were. Everyone's, hey Vida. And I was just like, see, because she is in the community.
impact, the big impact
Yes,
in the
like
community.
they know her, they appreciate her. Like, you know what I mean? Like I said, a lot of people, they want the title, they want the recognition, but they're not doing the footwork. They're
Exactly.
they're not
Or
in the
behind the
streets.
scenes.
Behind the scenes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's why I like seeing stuff like that. You know what I mean? Seeing people like you, and you know, big shout out to like Karen Diaz,
Karen
like you know what I mean,
Diaz, yes.
like we shout out Cozy all the time. You know what I mean? Like they're out here, you know, showing people what's up. You know, shout out to us. Shoot, what the hell, we're doing this too. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? My boy Jay Legacy DT, like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we're here, you know, doing our part. You know, because we know, like, you know, there's a lot of potential out here, and we have a lot of plans that we want to do. We want to, I remember one time me and you talked about doing the documentary.
Yeah.
Doing a documentary about Old Town Victorville.
Yeah.
And the whole revival of, that's something that I still want to I think we should do it, because timing is everything.
It will come to pass, watch.
Oh yeah, like maybe at that moment wasn't the right time, but who knows? Maybe like you said, in 5 years, maybe 5 years, we might be doing a grand opening one day for Netflix or at the movie theater. You never know, But we got to stay strong. We got to stay. Yeah, that's what I want. I want that. Yeah. Yeah. We got to add that sound effect on there for that one.
Se habla español.
I got to make sure my account's still going though, so I can actually watch it.
I know they be cracking down, man.
Yeah, man, they're charging like double now. I'm like, what the
They
hell?
don't even let you share.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, man.
If you don't pay, you can't share.
Shoot, man.
It's like, bro.
So damn, I gotta watch Tubi now. Shoot,
It's free. Like, yeah.
Oh, the Netflix. YouTube it is. No.
Yeah, YouTube it is.
No, that's dope. So what are you working on as of right now? What's like the project that you got going on like right now as we speak?
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, like anything Old Town, that's where I'm at. Like, I've been talking with like different people, Arlie, Richard.
Shout out to
you all.
Arlie.
Shout out to Arlie, man. Like also you guys, like I'm always like, I feel like everyone knows me as like, I'm like the little ambassador. I'm like, so when you come into Old Town.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Hell
so
yeah.
why did you rent that space over there? Like, so
You're like the Debo of the Old Town. You're punking everybody for their chain over here. You know what I'm saying?
no.
That's my bike.
The bullies going around. Pay up.
No, remember the daddy? No. You want some of this? No. No, that's funny. No, you know what? I love what Arlie's doing down there for the, what is it? The cross
lanes.
Yeah, the cross lanes, man. Just we were just talking about that before we did the interview, like, how much that is impacting the desert and, Old Town Victorville. Huge.
And that's what people don't realize, right? Like, so cross lanes and HD family events, those are the two pop-ups.
Ooh,
that are
shout out
going
to
on
them
right
too,
now.
man. Big time.
Like these are food, like food vendor locations. They're pop-ups. They're places where small businesses, small entrepreneurs, people that cannot afford a brick and mortar quite yet, can
Nice.
go
That's
start
right.
making money.
Nice.
Legally, they can
Yes,
legally pull
yes.
a business license. And again,
Yes.
that didn't. So you want to talk about like history? The rezoning that we did 8 years ago, the rezoning of the Old Town Specific Plan with all those meetings that I'd be like, like
Yeah.
knock, you gotta come over to this meeting. Again, not sexy, super boring, but what happens after those meetings, we get rezoning.
Exactly.
And what happens with that rezoning, we get TPPs. And what happens with those TPPs? Those freaking pop-ups are allowed to happen. And
Right.
and that's sexy.
Yeah.
Like DJs, lucha libre.
Yeah, now it's
Ultra.
popping.
Now it's popping.
Now it feels sexy. But it took all that
Yes.
work that
All that
felt
struggle.
like, what the heck is this? And why is this crazy lady
So
talking
dope.
to me? Like it leads to all that, right? And so now, like when you talk about like what's next, the future, like I just keep thinking about all the barriers we're still having
Yeah.
Right.
around investing in businesses, and I don't mean like I don't mean to talk smack. It's always like it's important to call out barriers so we
Yeah.
can find solutions. You
Right.
know, so I just keep thinking about where are we still having barriers,
The pros and the cons.
and where
Man.
we can go change that. Do we need to rezone things? Do we need to go
Yeah.
to city council? What do we need to do? Like
Man,
that's what's next for me. I
We
think.
need to revive that theater right here.
You should we start a fundraising
Yes,
campaign?
we should.
You know what?
Shit.
You guys are seeing it right now. That's our next project. We're gonna get that theater back
Because
up and going.
that would make a
Because
big difference.
Well, that's historic.
Yes.
Like
Historic,
historic,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
Like
I mean, you would have places for
We have to
kids to go
research how
watch
to
movies.
get something like that revitalized as a there's a
like a historical landmark.
yes, a
Yeah,
historical landmark.
there's no reason why we should let something like that, get torn down or crumble down for no reason. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a historic spot. We should revive it. And bring it back to life.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, that theater's there. It needs a lot of work. Unfortunately, that's what happens when you neglect something.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like the pipes are shot out.
Exactly.
Like, so it just needs a lot of work, a lot
Right.
of money. Like
Lot of money.
I would say about $500,000. I mean, I'm sorry, like not half a mil, like
A whole
like,
meal?
No, I would say like I actually meant 3 to 5. Like
Yeah.
that's what.
That's when you get people that know how to do that, you
Yeah.
know, that want to volunteer and
Yeah.
put their time to, you know, with no charge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But the reason why I say that, like, because it's not impossible. Nothing is impossible.
Nothing.
right.
You put your mind to it, you can do it.
But the reason why I say that, like, that's what happens when you let things neglect is on 8th Street.
Yeah.
So right now we're on 7th
Yes.
Street, right?
Right.
Yeah.
On 8th Street, there's a theater right there.
Right.
That theater used to host, you know, like, I forget the name because I'm not the most cultural.
Shenanigans, man.
You know,
They used to have
Shenanigans is over
they used to
here
have
too.
shenanigans
The
right there.
soldiers,
Yeah.
the soldiers. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like, yeah, that shit, you know, so when the
Yeah.
soldiers came home,
Yep.
you know, like.
Had a little theater
they-
there to go chill.
That's where they would like to keep their morale up. You know, the dances, that,
Right.
that theater
Kind of like
was
the proms or whatever.
kind of
Yeah.
because,
the community dances
and all
community
that.
dances,
Yeah.
but that's because they're home, you know, from war, you
Yeah,
know, all
kind
that.
of get their minds off of war and all that.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that theater's been there forever, you know. It's still there.
What's going on with that?
Every weekend there's plays. The Hunchback of Notre Dame just
Really?
passed.
I didn't know that.
Exactly.
See,
But
Wow.
it's not
I
being
didn't know that.
marketed.
Yeah. So
You know?
when we're talking about like, yes, there's a lot of things that we need to invest in. Unfortunately, it already got to the part where we need a lot of money, and it doesn't mean that it's not impossible. Like let's figure
Yeah.
out a game
Yeah.
plan and let's make it happen.
Start doing the groundwork.
But let's also figure out where, you know, like that theater's still
Yeah.
alive and running
Something
and
that
kicking.
something that can
And
get improvement.
let's you know, first of all, let's start off by letting people know that that's happening.
Yeah. Exactly.
People, because the tickets are like $20.
That's
And
not
you get
bad.
a full production theater where you go to Pantages and tickets are at minimum 100
Yeah.
to $260, $360. Here, $20, you could take your entire
your
family,
hometown.
you know?
Yes.
In your hometown, local talent because it's local artists,
That's
you
right.
know?
Wow.
I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, that might be something to start looking into. You know, it was one thing that broke my heart, though, man, in Old Town, was when the junior high
Burn down.
Yes.
burned down. Man, well, one, I went to that junior high, you know what I mean? But like that junior high used to be the high school first.
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
high school before it was the junior high.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because I remember before it burnt down that people were even thinking about doing something with that junior high, remember?
Yeah.
And they were saying that they were wanting to turn it into like a kind of like a YMCA or something like that for kids, for the youth.
Like-
It had everything. It had
Yep.
a basketball gym, it had a track, it had
Had
classrooms,
everything. Yep. Had everything.
It had
The
everything.
field.
And I remember like there was this talk about wanting to do something like that,
Yeah.
and then it ended up catching on
it burned
fire,
down.
burnt down, and I was just like, man, that corner right there would have been the
Perfect.
heart
Yeah.
of everything, because it was the junior high, dog.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I
It
mean?
was a school before.
It was a school. Like,
yeah.
it's just crazy. Like that shit broke my heart, man. When that burned out, I was like,
Yeah.
damn, you know what I mean? But, you know, that doesn't mean we can't stop doing other things. You know what I mean? We got to start pushing to the next. And,
Exactly.
you know, I'm glad that, you know, we got a chance to sit down and talk to you. You know,
Yes.
you know, this show represents all this, everything that we just got done talking about. That's what this show represents. You know, 'cause on this show, we want to interview everybody from music artists to real estate agents to, you know, community
A through Z.
leaders. Yeah, just
Business owners.
business owners, everything. But it's got to be
Politicians.
productive. It's got to be where
Yes.
people are actually really hustling. You know, what I mean, this show is all about hustlers, and you are definitely a top hustler out here
Top
in the
one.
HD. We
Yes.
appreciate
Happy
you.
You
Yeah,
were on.
be hustling.
You were on top of the list.
Yeah, on top, you're on
Yes.
top of the
Aw,
list.
Thank you. I'm glad I made it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wore my Tupac vest for you guys.
Yeah, all eyes on me. All eyes on me. Yeah,
All eyes
hell
on
yeah,
Vida.
man. No, thank you so
Hell
much, though.
man.
You know, but this show is about giving these people their flowers. You
Yes.
know, and
Thank you guys. Thank you
so we
guys.
want to just, you know, shine some light on you. And this isn't a one and done show.
No.
No.
That we want you to be on the show multiple times.
Yes.
Okay.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
When we start that women's show.
Hey, you know,
Okay.
yeah, we're thinking about starting a
What are we
women.
gonna call it? Cafecito y chisme. Cafecito y chisme.
There we go. There it is. Hey,
Cafecito
hey,
y
hey,
chisme.
there it is.
With Queens
Hey,
and
but-
Vida.
Oh, come on now.
Hey, but,
Come
hey,
on.
but once you come in with us, you're family for life.
That's right.
Yeah,
thank
we
you
call
guys.
you like the Chop Shop alumni. Once you're on the
Yes.
show, when you're part.
Alumni.
Yeah. The
I feel
alumni.
like I'm in college.
Yeah. You're part. You're
we
part
need
of.
to get some plaques for the cars.
I know. I was gonna say, where's my little?
I know.
little,
we're gonna get
tiara?
merch soon. We need merch.
we gotta give him something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe a little chop
coming,
shop,
it's
you know.
happening.
Chop,
Cleaver.
chop, chop.
Cleaver. No.
Yeah, cleaver. Make food at home.
Yeah, but we look forward to, you know, and I know, like, you know, your husband is a big part of, you know, we got done interviewing him, you know, not that long ago, and he's a big part too of,
Yeah.
you know, making a big impact down here, and he was telling us that he's gonna throw a big grand opening for his new studio coming up.
Yes.
So we look forward to being all in with you know
Yes.
with you on that
do it.
as well, because we want to just support.
And anything you you know that you have coming up, any events, anything, you count on us to be there. You know, if we can be there, I mean, at least one of us will be there.
Yeah.
We'll support. You know,
Represent.
count on us. You know, we're here to, you know, help the community and do what we can.
Yeah, we got events coming. You know, we just finished the Felix Diaz Memorial.
Super
Memorial.
dope.
I combined mural and memorial.
Yeah,
Felix
yeah,
Diaz
yeah, yeah.
Mural. You know, right there on 7th Street, and that was epic.
Is that something that we want to do more down here? Is more murals?
Yeah, so in fact, I'm actually working with the San Manuel Tribal Council right now.
Nice.
And we are putting together a mural that honors the Serrano people, which is the native tribe from this area.
I'm gonna show up to that one.
So
Yeah.
we're
I'm there.
we're working with the artist Julio. Julio and his team have designed a few things, and we're working with the Seminole Cultural Arts Council to ensure that the mural truly represents the Serrano people. And you know, that's a mural coming up. We're having to remove our jackrabbit that's on 7th Street because it's combined with other murals that are not compliant. So we got to redo our jackrabbit. We're never gonna let go of the jackrabbit though.
Nah, you
that
can't. Nah, right here, right there,
Right
where
here
the
on
where the
7th Street,
where the
yeah.
where the they do the family.
The night
The
market.
night markets,
Yeah, night market, yeah.
Oh, okay,
but,
okay.
but I mean, short answer is yes. We need. So I mean, you know this. You grew up here. Bare walls are trouble. Bare walls, you know.
Yeah.
You're nodding.
Anything bare is trouble. Is
but-
asking for it.
It's asking
You're
for it.
asking for it.
But street
Tell you
art,
right now.
But street art is you respected. It connects us.
If it's done the right way,
That's right.
then all people would embrace it.
Exactly. So
Yes.
I mean, thankfully, the only place in all of the city of Victorville that you're allowed to do murals is in Old Town Victorville. You know why? Because it's in the rezoning plan we worked on 10 years ago.
Well, another door that got kicked down. Bow! Boom! It's
Yeah.
cracking.
Bust the door
That's
down.
what we doing, man.
You know, let's do some more of that, and you know, we'll get some more murals up, and we have a cleanup day coming up in November, and
Let's do it.
you know,
If anybody wants to get in contact with you for wants to get involved in anything that you got going on, or even have questions, what's the best way they can contact you? Besides seeing you down here, of course, you know, in the
I
flesh,
know.
but
Popping out everywhere.
yeah, you know what I mean?
I know. Just find me. You know, walk into any store and you'll find me. I mean, obviously, I'm on Instagram.
Yeah.
Vida Paz.
Dope.
I for a while I had my profile on private because I was like worried, but I had to make it public because
Right.
you know,
In case people are trying to
we
reach you.
need to stay connected.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's public. Just
Oh, don't worry. We're going to have all her links on the bottom of the description on our channel. So we're going to have her Instagram, her Facebook. So if you guys want to just contact her, she'll be a link
Her
away. you know?
email, her text, you know what I'm saying?
Her blood type. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm saying no. Just playing. Just thank you so much again. You know, this is a great episode. We've been wanting to do this for a while, and this is not the one and only. We're gonna do this a lot of times with Vida because she has a lot going on, and we want to hear all about it.
This is season 1.
This is
There's more seasons to come.
you know what I mean. So
more to come. Stay tuned.
yeah, thank you so
stay
much,
tuned.
though.
Thank
You
you.
know, everybody, please give a like, subscribe. You know, comment
Follow.
on the channel, please.
Yep.
Chop shop, that's
Chop
big
shop,
chops
that's
right there. There
big-
might be a
big chop.
wall mural of big chops
Big
one day.
choppers.
Yeah.
Big choppers.
Oh yeah.
What's up? You know.
Let's do it.
Yeah, but you know, peace out, everybody.
Peace.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.